Well, I started working on the cemetery a lot of years ago. In fact, it's over 8 years ago, on November 7th, 2007. And why it got me involved in it is the fact that we just had been officiating for a veteran's burial, not in a veteran's cemetery, not even a veteran's section. And I thought, that this is crazy. Why don't we have a veteran's cemetery for us? Well, we got looking into it. First thing they said, well, part of the people in Tucson got to go to Sierra Vista. I said, why? She said, well, there's got to be 75 miles apart on every cemetery. So part of Tucson would be going down to Sierra Vista. What about the rest of Tucson? Well, we don't cover that. So we finally came to the conclusion that we've got to be between the cemetery at Sierra Vista by 75 miles and the other side of us with the National Cemetery in Phoenix, 75 miles. And where did that leave us? Right here in Marana. So we went looking at Marana for land. And graciously enough, the Kai family had some land, 42 acres that they would donate to us right along I-10. That was what we needed to have. So we got together with them, signed an agreement for the cemetery, and they made one provision which was very important to us, and it was a good thing. They said this land is being donated to the state's Veterans Service Group for a cemetery only, and that was good. So now we have a piece of land that can only be used for a cemetery, and the federal government came along and said, okay, you've got your land, you've got the title to it, here's $7.6 million to build it. And in the next 2 years we spent building it, and we had all kinds of things that went on with it. We fought snakes, we fought the weather, we fought changes in the plans, even to the point where when we put all of this together, we drove on the old road, which was a dirt road, and compacted the daylights out of that road. He says, well, that's a good road to have into the cemetery. It's a mile short, however, being that way. So I went with the Pima County Association of Governments and brought in all the communities around us to help pay for this. And of course, Tucson says, okay, we're probably going to have to put the biggest amount of money because we're going to have more veterans from Tucson. Not so. This is in Marana. So we talked to Tucson, we talked to Marana, Oro Valley, Sarita, and we got together and we managed to pull about $1 million together to put that road in, put our cemetery together. That finished everything that we needed. We finally got everybody together and we had our groundbreaking, and that was the time when Ted Vogt was the commander or the chief of the state. So things went very well in that regard, but there was a lot of paperwork to be put together, and I had two of the fellows that worked with me on that stuff from the start. That was Wendell Haig and Norm Ross. And Norm Ross is a part of this cemetery right now, unfortunately. But we did get our money, and then we started the building of the cemetery. We moved a lot of dirt because we had low spots in the area and it needed to be built up. And we got our road back in. And the end result was, on March 26, 2016, we had a dedication of the cemetery. We decided it was a good thing to have a foundation together to carry it on with all the things that are going to be necessary. New gravel. One of the big things we did was the Carillon Music Tower. And we dedicated that on March 10th of 2018, very expensive item, and we have a donor to this day, Susan Bring, who is the donor in that area, and because of that, she's a lifetime member of our foundation. So that was very helpful. Another thing that came along was planting of 100 trees by the Rotary Clubs of Tucson. Another one that helped us again was Dick too donated a beautiful water fountain, and he became so involved, he is still a member of our foundation. So these are some of the things we dealt with. Another one that's been very helpful to us, Norm's wife, Ann, donated a case full of World War II and Korean veteran airplanes. It's a beautiful addition to the cemetery. We also have a large, big American flag on the ceiling in the administrative building. And the reason why it's so different, it only has 48 stars. It's an old timer. So that's been a big part of it. And we've had a lot of people help in many, many ways, not only with funding, but buying pillars, buying stones that we have a part of the cemetery. So that has been a very good thing to have. But the thing that's been really important about that, the director of the cemetery, Bonnie Doodleston, coordinated all these efforts and kept them all in good order, and that was a tremendous help for us. However, now today, she has retired and been replaced with a new director, Nicole Contreras. So here we are in April of 2020. We have a beautiful resting home for 2,000 veterans already placed and ready, and over 2,000 applications for more veterans that will be using our cemetery. So folks, I want to thank the people of the Metropolitan Tucson District for all the support for our veterans who are now home here in their area of Tucson. One of the important things that we need to do now is maintain this area, because we have 130,000 veterans that live right here, and this is home. And we want this to be their resting home forever, so their families can visit, veterans can visit, and friends can visit them at any time. That's an important part. So that's why we have a foundation to continue to maintain what we've got.